everyone. I'm here with Tay Baily, an amazing producer. We're going to talk a little bit about his newest EP, Nightlight. Thank you so much for your time today. I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So I will say that Nightlight definitely has like this real soothing vibe to it. It's got a lot of Japanese culture infused in it as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, there's some vocals on some tracks, but it's mostly all instrumental and just like vibes. Kind of reminds me of like chill hop-ish, but it's only 3 tracks. How long did it take you to compose the EP?
So surprisingly, it didn't take me long. The first 2 tracks was always in my archive for a while, and I was like, I don't want to release these by themselves. I want at least one more track to create at least like a 3-track project. And so it wasn't until I did the last track, Rainfall, I just kind of put it all together and just released it out there. So it took like about, I'll say like a month, probably a month and a half to kind of just put the project together and just release it out there, watch my baby grow.
So when you actually composed the songs, how long did that take you, the 2 that you had previously?
Those first 2 tracks, it took me like, I would like go back and forth with them. So it took me like some weeks. And I'm a perfectionist. It's kind of like a blessing and a curse. And that took me a while because I wanted to add like detail and I wanted to be right. There was some stuff that I scrapped. And so I'm like that with all my songs. And so it took me a while. So
and then like Rainfall was kind of like, did you want, I guess since you already had your other 2 tracks done, did you want Rainfall to complement those 2 tracks, or was it something that was like you just completely innovated on and then you were like, this sounds like a collection?
Yeah, so like yes and no. Like when I did Rainfall, I fell in love with the sample first. I was just like, this sample is dope, and made a beat around it. And once I was done with Rainfall, that's when I was like, you know what, this will match really well with Nightlight and Hot Spring. And so the project just came together. And I found my 3rd song, and everything was just history. Just took it from there.
Yeah, I think it was like a really good to tie it in because the other 2 songs are like a little bit lighter, but Rainfall had like a little bit more of a heavier tone to it.
Yeah.
Not heavier like distortion, but just like a little darker, harder hitting bass. And it definitely reminded me a little bit more of J. Cole's KOD, like the interludes. So what exactly was going through your mind when you produced it? Were you in a darker place or?
No, so a lot of the times when I was making my music, it was at night. And I just kind of got that first idea from like the nighttime. I was like, I like the way like the night feels and you listen to more chiller music in the nighttime. You're winding down from the day.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I didn't get it from J. Cole. That would have been dope.
Yeah. No, inspired, but original.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when I was making Rainfall, the idea almost came immediately, like including the title name. So like after the sample, I pitched it down, I chopped it up, and man, this reminds me of like rain, like a dark cloud or whatnot. It just reminds me of just cruising, watching the rain hit my windshield, playing like some kind of lo-fi-ish music or whatnot.
Yeah.
Just matched the mood. So immediately I was like, okay, Rainfall.
Yeah, I like that. And then you obviously seem to have a theme with water, because then you've got Hot Spring. But Hot Spring has like way more snare. It's got the Kyoto samples. I would say that one has more vocals in it.
Yeah.
Dajavu. Very nice.
Yeah,
So your main influence while you were composing that, because you did compose it earlier in the project, like before you knew it was going to be a part of the project, what was your influence when you composed Hot Springs? Or Hot Spring?
Oh, good. It was a bunch of anime and video games. Like at the time I was playing this game called Ghost of Tsushima, and basically like a samurai. It took place in like Edo period of Japan, very beautiful landscape, and so I was listening to the music in that game, and I've always had a thing for like old, like Edo style Japanese like music or whatnot, and I wanted to incorporate that in like modern music. Like, how can I give it like a traditional Japanese sound with a modern twist? You know, something like lo-fi or R&B or whatnot. So that's where that whole thing was born. And plus, one of my favorite animes is Samurai Champloo. They include like hip hop inside, you know, traditional sounding Japanese music as well. And I thought that was really dope. And so I wanted to do the same thing.
Yeah, I like that. I think it definitely ties the project together. So we haven't really talked much about, I guess, your reign as Stretch Man, right? But you do have, since you officially released music as Tay Baily on like all those streaming platforms, and you really just have like your Stretch Man music on SoundCloud, do you think that you might want to bring some of those older projects to all the streaming platforms so that your old fans can enjoy it? Or
I do, but when I do it, I want to remake them. So it's kind of like a remaster type thing. I want to bring them out as Tay Baily and kind of leave the old Stretch Man style behind me. That'll be like a little challenge for me personally that I want to do. Just go back and remake my old songs and my old tracks and just bring them out.
Yeah, I feel like once you've accomplished more as a musician, when you listen to your older tracks, you almost cringe a little bit because you're just like could have done this, could have done that.
Yeah, like, man, like I didn't know anything back then. I could have done this.
Yeah. So what were you using back then?
Back then, it was still Logic. I was using Logic Pro 9, I believe. Logic Pro 9 and GarageBand. Don't tell nobody.
Look, I still like GarageBand. Yeah, like if you're on the go, you're on your phone, because they, for some reason, don't want anyone to have Logic on the phone. Exactly. But yeah, a lot of projects, like I like to start on GarageBand on my phone, and then I like that type of continuity, which is why I'm so Apple. I hate that they have me, but they have me for that reason.
Exactly. It's like, I hate that y'all got me, man. Why y'all gotta have all the good things?
They got me deep, okay? Got the iPhone, got the MacBook, got the Apple Watch. I never wear it.
Yeah.
But I have it. Once you bring it over to Logic, you can like mix it better. GarageBand has a lot of good starting points, but it just doesn't have everything Logic has.
It does. It's a good platform for ideas. Like if you just want to get a quick idea out there, lay it out in GarageBand and come back and put it on Logic, like you said, and just make it better, you know, buffer out the edges or whatnot.
Yeah, I find it interesting because like the new version of Logic actually has like live loops in it now, whereas that was originally just a GarageBand thing. And I find it interesting that they're taking things from the base model that's free for everyone and integrating it into the paid version, but they're not going to bring things that Logic has to GarageBand. Like you can do some automation in GarageBand, but it'll just never be as hands-on.
Exactly.
It's my little tidbit. Okay. So I remember you did say that you eventually want to include your own vocals. Is that something you've been working at?
Yes.
Okay.
Vocals. Probably like, because I'm a sucker for instrumental beats, you know, I love it. I might do them for like a few tracks or whatnot, or be featured on everybody else's track or of that nature, you know.
Okay. Like you want to do like some type of vocal loop library situation, or do you want to like sing, I guess, more so like have your voice be the star of the track, or you would rather just kind of incorporate it as an instrument?
Yes and yes. Like I would probably loop it out like a track or just sing a hook, you know.
Oh, okay. Nice. I feel like, yeah, you could definitely take on the role as more of a performing artist.
You think so?
Versus just the producer. Yeah, if you get the vocals out there, get some good verses, and of course the hooks. Hooks are necessary. I've seen a lot of good songs and potentially bad songs go a long way with just hooks being so good. We don't even care about the verse being that horrible.
Exactly. Like Daft Punk, One More Time. Everybody one more time. This is like
Mm-hmm.
nobody knows like the verse or whatnot. We don't care what the verse is talking about.
Look, but then there's Technologic. Buy
Techno.
it, use it, break it, fix it. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't think they even said anything else. That
That's
was it. Technologic.
Except Technologic.
Technologic. But they had the best beat. So yeah.
A good beat and a good hook will take your song so far. And honestly, that's just one of my goals, is to have like a good beat, a good catchy hook, and that's really all you need, you know. And so who knows? I mean, the more I go on my music journey, things always will change. And so you never know. I might sing like a verse or two.
We'll see. I can't wait to see what else you come out with. Like, I'm definitely excited for the next project. What was like your earliest memory of when you knew you wanted to create music?
My earliest memory, it's like the golden years of 12 and 13. So that's when I first learned piano. My dad was playing the drums and I was playing more drums back then too. So I had like the best of both worlds, like drums and like the rhythm and bass of drums and the melody world of piano. And so I was doing nothing but like just trying to invent songs from there, like trying to just play songs of piano from there. But my earliest memory was when I went to my cousin's house at that age, and we used to have these cookouts at my family's house all the time. And at the time he had Fruity Loops, and I've never heard of Fruity Loops. I was just like, what is that? You know, and it just blew my mind that you can just make whole songs off a computer program. So I remember my brother was over there too, and he taught me how to basically use it. He was like, oh, this is what you do. You get your sounds, you get your drums here, you get your melodies here, you put it in here, yada, yada, yada. And I just kind of sat and studied it for a minute while everybody else was eating and watching the movie and whatnot. I'm over here just like studying the music. And so my brother, my cousins, and their friends, they all went to the liquor store. They was like, hey, we'll be back. Have fun with this program, you know. And I was like, okay, cool. And so while they were gone, I'm just studying the crap out of it and just going through all the sounds, and I got my drums, I got my melodies, and so I ended up making a beat. And by the time they come back, you know, I'm playing the beat and I'm just kind of just vibing to it. And my brothers and everybody come back, they're like, they vibing to it too. They're just like, oh, this is dope. They're like, hey, you make this? And it's just like, nah. He's like, John, you make this? Like, who made this beat? And I'm sitting there just like,
I'm guessing you're the youngest, right?
Yeah, I'm the youngest. And so nobody expect me to make a beat. And so, you know, which sounded cool, I guess, you know, I was like, oh, they feel it. So they vibing to it, and they're all like, more like, I actually made this beat. They're like, nah, bro, you didn't make this.
It's a compliment, but also
for real.
It's like...
For real. And my cousin looks at the computer. He's all like, oh, he did make this. And so that moment right there, like their reaction, just reacting off of what I made, just sealed the deal for everything. I was like, okay, I want to make music. You know, this is something I want to do. And I was having so much fun doing it, and I learned it so quick. And so it just kind of stuck with me ever since.
Oh, that's really beautiful. Oh my God.
Right?
Thank you for sharing that with me. Wow. No, that's really cool. Especially because you come from like such a musical family. That's really amazing. Like I wish I had that. Damn, that's really cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, like that moment was just really cool, and I think about that from time to time, and I just kind of sit and laugh. I'm just like, wow, that actually happened.
Yeah.
And so, don't get me wrong, there was some boo-boo whack beats I made too, but you know,
it's a part of the process. Yeah.
Exactly. We starting off, and so it is what it is. And like, I was proud of those boo-boo whack beats. I just kept making them, and so until
they got good. Yeah. I guess I did want to talk a little bit. You told me that your mom is a vocalist and you come from a family of musicians, which we just kind of touched on. So Who were your early influences of musicians, like that you feel like shaped you into the producer that you are?
So when I was first producing, like at a young age, I was listening to a lot of Neptunes, like NERD, and Pharrell and Chad, the Neptunes really inspired me to not only produce and be different, but to like be as musical as possible, not be afraid to put other genres in what I'm creating.
Mm-hmm.
To tap into other genres like rock, or like they did it all, like R&B,
Mm-hmm.
electronic, like they did it all, jazz. And so I was just like, yo, I want to do that with my music too. And so they really just kept me going with just being as creative as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though I haven't met them, but I feel like they're my heroes. And so,
Yeah. Yeah. I always believe that like musicians' biggest fans are other musicians.
yeah.
like like the people who like, oh yeah, I'm into music, like they will definitely be a part of your fan club, of course, but your real biggest fans are going to be people who are you're going to inspire, and they're going to want to know more about your process, which is why I like to host these, because yeah, I feel like it just gives people a little bit more insight into what, not the struggle. I feel like there's beauty and like there's definitely struggle, but there's a sense of accomplishment that happens once you complete something and you can put it out for everyone to hear.
Exactly. It's like it tells a story. And so it's always a beginning and then there's a conclusion. And so once you get to see what adds up to the conclusion, that's what makes it really beautiful.
So I'm curious as to what your process is when you're producing. I know you use Logic Pro X, but if you had to give people, I guess, an idea of your starting point, what would it be?
So I know people, like when they produce music, they kind of argue like, oh, I do drums first or I do melody first. I usually always start off with melody, but that's just what I do because I'm a big fan of building on certain melodies. Like say for instance, if I want to sample something, I'll even use Rainfall as a perfect example. So with Rainfall, I found that sample first and I just fell in love with it immediately. I was like, oh, this is a great sample. And so I took it, pitched it down, chopped it up, and I just added on to there. I kind of added a few more layers when it comes to melody, probably add like some chords to help bring that sample out some more to help amplify it, and add a bass line because I love my bass. Naturally, right? And then I'll do drums. Like drums is usually the last thing I do. So I'll have every like thing laid out as far as melody and bass and then drums. And with that being said, I would usually have the hook first. I was gonna put in the hook, and then from there I'll just kind of break everything down like piece by piece, what's gonna be in the verse part or whatnot. And so I'll just do that. And then usually what I like to do in my songs is put change ups or bridges if you want to.
I love bridges. Yeah, need the bridge. Yeah.
I'm a sucker for bridges. That would usually be the last part. So I'll have like the hook and the verse, and the bridges would be like a bonus thing, like my last thing to do, like the
to just bring it all together.
Yeah. Exactly.
I guess like bridges do, connecting. So
connects it together.
Connects it together.
Yeah, but for sure.
A good bridge, it's like, it just gives that, I don't know, I like to call it like a breather from like, most of it is being looped. So you want to bring in a change, but you don't know how to introduce that change. So then comes the bridge where you can introduce the change and quickly get back to the original, not the original, but get back to another portion of the beat. Fairly nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm glad I'm not alone. Somebody else believes in bridges. So.
Yeah. Especially, I think, well, for me, because I started mostly music creation with guitar. That was one of my biggest things. Or I guess in hip hop, it's called like the pre-hook or pre-chorus too.
Exactly.
So it just kind of gives it that like that refrain that you really like, and most people lead up, you know, like the chorus is great too, the hook is good, but it's just something about those pre-hooks that kind of lets the listener know what's about to happen. Maybe
Exactly.
we read into it because we're creating it, but and people just like it's just a song, chill. But when you're creating it,
Man,
you're understanding the vibe.
exactly. You know the whole process, and so
Yeah,
and me also, like I've always just had like a special love, thanks to the Neptunes and just a bunch of old school R&B. They believed in bridges and stuff, and jazz, of course, especially.
yeah.
There's a lot of jazz in my household growing up, and so that's probably why I'm in love with bridges to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think they're the best parts of the song.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. So you did mention that you like to use samples. So where do most of your samples come from? I mean, you can name if you want to. You don't necessarily have to, but
no, it's all good. I laugh because recently, I think everybody been doing this, been going to either Splice or Sounds.com.
yeah.
I mean, it's a great source to get like any kind of samples or whatnot and just do what you want. I mean, that's what it's for.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm not using those two platforms, I'll just be kind of like, hey, bro, what kind of samples you got? Or
Mm-hmm.
I'll hear something from like YouTube or something, and it'd be like a random clip of anything, and I think it'll be dope. I'll be like, oh, that'll be dope in a song, so I'll just get that and put it in a song and just kind of do what I want with it. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So it was it Hot Spring had like the kind of vocal sample going on in it, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
so
where did you get that one?
yeah, I'm glad you asked. Hot Springs, I sampled it from an anime, and can you guess where it's from? Just take a
Nope.
walk. No?
No.
Okay. It's one of my favorite animes, Samurai Champloo. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of what episode, because there's two episodes I sampled it from. The one you hear the woman speaking in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
she was a blind koto player. She played the koto in
Oh.
like Izakawa. So she played the koto and the like local bars or whatnot, but she was a blind woman. And I think the main characters were like just helping her travel. But there was a specific scene that they were all just kind of chilling in a hot spring, and I was just like, "Yo, that would be dope if I could put that scene in my song." So that's exactly what I did, and I forgot what she was talking about. She was talking about something, but it was deep, and I was like, "Yo, I like it." And so originally that song was going to be called Onsen, but not that many people know what onsen is. So I was like, oh, hot spring will do.
I mostly still use Apple Loops, but I feel like there's just so much importance in the way that you use samples. Like I feel like a lot of people say, "Oh, if you're using samples, it's not original." Such a debate about it. But to
No.
me, I feel like it's what you do with the sample more so. Like, yeah, if you're just gonna drag and drop it, that's completely unoriginal, and you're
Yeah.
probably gonna get flagged for copyright.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you mentioned that you pitch it down.
Mhm.
Sometimes yeah, you can speed it up or slow it down. But I feel like yeah, when you're adding in your own um, chain of like effects, it's gonna completely shake that sound. Thank you so much for giving me your time today. I'm so excited everyone can get to know a little bit more about you. You guys, please stream Nightlight. It's out on all platforms right now, even YouTube, dare I say. So if you're not subscribed to any platforms, you can stream it for free on YouTube. Don't
Yeah.
close the window, they'll stop it. But yeah, it's gonna be great.
And hey, thank you again for having me. It was such a pleasure. This is really fun.
Yeah, you guys check out Catalyst Vision. We've got a lot of things in the works. We got more interviews coming. And of course, that's where I teach my lessons. I teach workshops for independent artists as well. So, guys, go ahead and head over to the website, check it out, see if it's something you're interested in.